everybody, I'm Charles Morgan from Comic Week, and I'm here at Alpha Comics with our friend Brianna Beebe.
Hi.
And we are here to look at all of this week's new comics that you're going to be buying as soon as the doors open here in a few hours. Quite a few books that came out that I think are going to be on my pull list. What about yours?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. October is one of my favorite months, so I am excited for Archie Halloween special. I'm a sucker for things like that. I grew up on Betty. My mom was very opinionated. She was like, you don't want to like Veronica. She has an attitude, and you should like Betty. She's the girl next door. And the best part is if like I talk about this in front of my mother, she immediately goes into the same spiel that she gave me when I was like 4 or 5. So it's an extra fun little thing. So if you're looking for something that can be kind of all ages, fun little spooky friend.
You know, all the Bettys secretly want to be Veronicas, so that's sort of the irony, right?
No, I'm good. You can just play
That was like
it
the
up.
most awkward handoff of my career. Okay. All right, and what else do you got?
I also have Betty Page, another spooky one. I just think she looks so adorable. Like, she looks so nice. And then there's a fluffy friend. So yeah, I'm in my own little spooky head.
Bewitching.
Exactly.
One of the comics I'm looking for this week is actually Aubrey Sitterson's 4th issue, No One Left to Fight. We did a podcast with Aubrey a few weeks ago, which is really cool and very informative. We talked about the origin of the series. Of course, you can't have a superhero comic book without an antagonist, and the name No One Left to Fight makes you think that there wouldn't be one, but we find out in this issue that is not the case. So I'm excited. There's one more issue to go after this month's issue. It's been a very good series so far, and I think Aubrey's done a great job. So I look forward to reading this in a few hours.
Yeah. Another one I am excited for is going to be Die. I've been loving this series so far. I'm a little smidgen behind. I think I'm on issue 5 because we ran out of 6 and I sold someone my copy.
Happens.
It does happen. And I didn't want to be like, oh, well, you can wait for the reorder, because for me it's more getting to read it than anything else. This stuff's going to go in my box and then I'm going to reread it in another 5 years. So I'm not too worried about first printings. But yes, it's a gorgeous book. It's really a lot of, I wouldn't say fun. It's a very interesting read, and there's a lot of cool things going on, and some parts can be fun, but there's also a lot of emotion involved. So this isn't going to be quite as lighthearted as Archie and his pals dressed up in Halloween costumes. There's going to be a little bit more meat on here. But personally, I feel like you need to have kind of a balance of the things, so you're not just getting bogged down by all of the more intense reads.
Well, also I like the alternate cover, the B cover, that issue is really cool too. Another comic that I've read on and off. This is the final issue of it. This is Man-Eaters, sort of a feminist title. One of the things I think is very cool about it is Chelsea Kane often goes to the webs and finds pop culture references and things. She this time got something that I found really quite cool. This is an actually numismatically correct little blurb about the 1979 P Susan B. Anthony dollar, and it's a wide rim variety. Again, you know, there's all sorts of great stuff in comics like this. This is really more of an art project than it is a traditional narrative comic. But there's been a few issues of this that I think have been really striking. This comes with, I think, 3 covers this month in this last issue. And I think it's going to be something that it's good in single issues, also good in the trade form. So if you're into you know, something off the beaten path, non-narrative, but very interesting creative titles, you might want to pick this up. I'm picking it up just for the coin stuff because I'm a total coin nerd.
There's nothing wrong with that. Going on with it being October, you're going to get a lot of zombie friends. We were commenting in Deceased and a couple other issues. This one in particular I think is really cool looking. It doesn't like weird me out as much as some other stuff because it's such a bright red. It doesn't freak me out. And it's also not too bad. But I kind of like how menacing Green Lantern's looking in this cover. And then another one, we're going to be continuing with House of X. This is going to be issue 6. So this is going to be the last one for House of X. And then Powers of X is going to be coming out sooner rather than later. So just keep in mind it is ending up. We're getting another, I don't even know what printing of number 1 we're on now. It's 4 or 5. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, that came in. There's you probably got about 7 or 8 issues of that.
Yeah, we got a few of them, and we're trying to keep them in stock as much as possible because it has been such a popular title, and we're just constantly running out of them because it is apparently that good.
Has Marvel's previewed trades of House of X or Powers of 10 yet?
I don't know off the top of my head. Normally we'll get a heads up for like 3 months in advance. Since it's just ending with this issue, they're probably, if it isn't slated for this month, like in the previews, it's probably going to be for next month because that'd be roughly about 2 months from now.
Yeah.
Normally it takes a little bit of time for them to print out the graphic novels.
Yeah, that's a title that I've read in the floppy form, but I probably would like to see how it comes all together in a trade. So that might be something I might double dip on.
Plus, then the trade is also probably going to have some of those variants you might not be able to get your hands on quite as easy. So it might be a good thing even if you have been collecting the floppies to get the trade. Or you could always give the floppies to someone else if you don't want them anymore. I've done that before. I'm a big, I buy the number 1 and then get the trade type person.
How long until the major publishers start doing like incentive variants on trades, you think?
They've already did that where they have alternative covers for trades.
Like 1 in 10, 1 in 25 type stuff?
Not incentives, but like when they did Return of the Phoenix, the Jean Grey one I think had 2 trades, and Captain Marvel had 2 different covers for the trades.
Yeah, I've seen like retailer exclusive ones at like Barnes & Noble or other places.
They'll do those. They really haven't done it. I really don't want them to because incentive variants are always a pain.
Oh, you don't want to buy a 1 in 10 of some indie title?
It's not even that. It's just we can only get so many in. And so the very last thing you want to do is be like, oh, sorry, I've sold that. And then you have 6 other people asking you for the same book. And it's like...
And they don't want to buy the regular one because they want to...
Yeah, they want the particular cover that they're looking for. And it's just kind of like, why?
Well, hopefully they don't listen to this podcast and think about it. So, all right, so Immortal Hulk number 24 is out. This is the penultimate issue of the first major story arc. The next issue is going to be a big issue, which in the previews say are going to like completely change the Hulk universe.
The cover looks really cool.
So yeah, this is a really cool cover.
It looks like it's going to be out of this world.
Yes, literally. And one of my favorite titles that's been going on is from IDW. It's Canto.
See?
This is issue number 5 of 6. Canto, of course, is on this long quest. He's trying to find a heart to save his loved one, and he is basically trying to live out a story that all the little Iron 10 people know about a hero who becomes a knight and saves the princess. So I read this a little bit, and it's got a little bit of the end of level 1-4 Mario going on, but we'll have to see what happens in the 6th issue. But this has been a really cool story so far.
So I have 2. There's actually going to be 2 different reprints of Joker issues. We have the dollar one, and then there's also going to be the facsimile. The big difference is facsimile includes the ads, so you're going to get everything on there, whereas the other one, the dollar, is going to include the Joker movie ad, which I didn't know it did, and I'm afraid of clowns. Scared me a lot. But yeah, that preview is really cool looking. Now that I know it's there.
That is super creepy. Also, another Batman number 80. I'm going to be probably the minority of people who are going to totally miss the Tom King run of Batman, because popular consensus is people are very excited about the next team, which DC just announced. Batman and Catwoman have returned to Gotham to try to take it back, where the Thomas Wayne Batman is ruling with an iron fist. A lot of like major character deaths certainly in the series, and there seems to be a very popular, important character in a very tenuous situation by the time this one ends. So this may be a title that you want to pick up, because if what happens in the next issue is what I think could happen, this is going to be something that's not going to be on your local comic book shelf for very long.
That makes sense.
We got number 1s, lots of them.
Lots of number 1s. We're going to be going back to Spider-Verse. So this is going to be a 6-parter, so it's only going to be a limited series. But if you're enjoying the kind of Spider-Verse-y type of antics, you got some fun, flavorful friends.
Yep. We got Star Wars Return to Vader's Castle. That's a one-shot that's out. Dynamite has a new Vampirella, The Vengeance of Vampirella title, which has multiple variants. Yeah, this is one of my favorites of the week.
They've been putting out a lot of Vampirella because it's hitting 50 years. So you will see extra vampire-y goodness.
She doesn't look a day over 30.
Exactly.
There's Vampire State Building, another horror title. This is October. So this is Vampires in the Empire State Building. Roll credits. And and we have Marvel Comics 1001.
Yeah.
So this has also has a wraparound variant cover. So these, I don't know if these are additional stories they couldn't fit in the last issue, or if they're just like trying to get your change under your sofa cushion this month with this title. From Burger Books, there is a Ruby Falls #1. This is a cold case murder mystery.
Ooh.
Title. It's very sort of the art style on the cover kind of reflects what's inside it. So it's kind of it doesn't have a sinister look. It's sort of like a kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Very comic booky.
Well, I was about to say there also sometimes those type of titles can be kind of false sense of security.
Right. The dark stuff's not in the art; it's in the story. That's kind
exactly.
There's Strange Skies over East Berlin from Boom Studios. There's actually, it's funny, the first half of this book takes place with an escape attempt over the Berlin Wall, which kind of reminded me of another Boom Studios title book that came out a few months ago, Black Badge #9. I like sort of that East Berlin kind of spy history, but this is about after the United States and the Soviet Union went into space, they brought something back.
Ooh.
Title. So sci-fi, Cold War.
Interesting.
From A Wave Blue World, there's Mezzo, #1. Really cool action title there. And Dark Horse.
And it's going to be Grendel.
Yep, return of that popular character. Image has got a new volume of Copra, which is one of the coolest, most, I guess, best written modern superhero stories. The first run of this was very scarce. The first several issues were limited to, I think, 400 issues total. So they're very valuable. But now this is in basically mainstream wide release. So you can get a chance to read this title. Very artistic.
Okay, cool.
Superhero story.
Yes. Contagion.
That too.
This is going to be Contagion, going on with the October Feel zombie friends. They look kind of like gremlin creatures, though. They're kind of adorable.
So this is like Marvel's version of DC Deceased, except they all get sick.
Well, it's also, they have Marvel zombies, which is something they've done a couple of times. So I don't know if this is, instead of just rehashing Marvel zombies, they're going this direction instead, or what's going down. So
does the Contagion change them, or it just gives them coughing fits and makes them feel bad?
Oh, it's a bad cold that manifests in gremlin form.
What's wrong, Thing? I just don't feel up to fighting crime today.
Oh, now we gotta go watch Thing, go to the patient first.
Right, wait for 6 hours. Mr. Thing, what's the problem? They check his weight and his blood pressure. And it's just, how can you even do that with the Thing? All right, so then we got Bizarre Adventures. This is a really cool one-shot from Marvel to celebrate, again, it's part of their 80th anniversary celebration. Brings back some really cool characters, including Shang-Chi, Dracula, and Black Goliath in it. So this is a pretty cool title. I look forward to picking up and reading because I kind of like that 70s, 80s bit.
Oh, yeah. It can be a lot of fun.
And finally,
it's going to be the Immortal Hulk. He's going to be carnaginized. Absolute carnaginized. I can't say
absolutely carnaginized.
Yes.
Pretty much every one of your favorite Marvel characters has been carnaginized by now, except for Luke Cage.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
There's a few characters in the outer rims.
Snake Eyes. They did G.I. Joe.
Truth.
So.
Starscream,
carnagized Dazzler.
Just evolving into insanity. I think we're good.
So this week, we're giving away a copy of Daredevil #63. This is from April 1970. It's got a really cool cover. It has CGC 8.5, off-white to white pages. And so
really pretty,
that's what our giveaway is going to be. Also, if you haven't checked it out, a few days ago I posted an interview that I conducted at CGC where we talked about grading comics and what the different criteria is to get comics graded between 9 and 10. And we also talked about other issues, which I thought were, seldom discussed, like how do the graders grade comic books with black covers without imparting fingerprints on them, which I think is a big deal. We also talked about like edge tears. We talked about just the general state of like, what it's like to submit a comic and what the grade your typical, like how many hands comics go through before you buy them and all that kind of stuff. I know at Alpha, like you guys are very careful with the comics that you bring in before you put them on the shelf and even return things that are damaged. But it's just gives you a perspective of like, how difficult it is to get a 9.9 or a 10 when you're buying a comic book.
Well, and keep in mind, like we're only human, so stuff's gonna miss our hands. I had a guy come in one time and he exchanged it for another copy because they had misstapled, and so the staple was like right almost in like the top center corner, so you couldn't read like a good chunk of the panels just because of misstapling, and like we didn't even catch that, and that was a pretty like glaring like holy crap type thing. So
well, I mean, these are mass-produced items, so I mean at a certain point, like there is a variance.
All it needs to be is stuck in the center.
But anyway, if you want to know about that and you learn a little bit more about grading, make yourself a little bit more sophisticated in your understanding what CGC does, check out that video. I'll have a link to it in our description field. And that kind of does it. You'll see on your screen now all the people who liked the last video. We appreciate it. And we're at, I think, 225 subscribers now on the channel. So it's all good stuff. So anyway, for Brianna at Alpha Comics and me from Comic Week, we'll see you next week. And happy reading.